Well, ladies and gentlemen, it appears as though the Navy has gone full Bud Light. This this is rather incredible to me for a number of reasons. I'm looking for I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts and your comments down below. And regardless of what your perspective may be, just know that it'll be honored. Like I'm not going to trash talk you, even if we have a difference of opinions. But let's take a look at the latest superstar for recruiting advertisement, none other than Harpy Daniels. Okay, so what we have obviously is a sailor who's been using social media, which is cool. Of course, the Navy's social media policy is that sailors may not engage in any partisan political activity. And I'll tell you, I've always been very hesitant on doing anything in uniform because I know that once you have a uniform on, and it could be military, it could be law enforcement, whatever it is, once you have that uniform on, you are no longer a spokesman for you as an individual. You are now a spokesman for that profession to which you serve, right? And so here we have the Navy, making some headway in some things here. I guess if you want to call it that. It's rather peculiar for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, times are changing and culture is changing, and so people are going to attempt to change along with it, and or even force a change. But I think that what we're seeing by the Department of the Navy is in the same vein as what Bud Light just went through, right? And so what you have is, who is your customer base, if you will, right? Where are people enlisting from, and what are their values, their virtues, and their beliefs? All of the Department of Defense really comes from a few states specifically, right? So we're talking about Texas, North Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, California, and New York. And any counties that are near a military installation are going to have a higher probability of folks that are coming into the service. And, if you look at the values of most of these places, and most of those states and most of those counties are in the Southeast, I think that you may run the risk of alienating and turning a larger portion of that population away from wanting to partake in the profession that you are, or in the case of Bud Light, of drinking Bud Light. When you alienate your customer, when you alienate that large body of people who are otherwise enlisting or otherwise purchasing your product, you got to be careful because you may reap what you sow. And this is something else. I can't help but wonder what our foreign adversaries may think. I can't help but think of what our friendly dudes that are out there may think, right? Our allied nations, some of which are probably jumping up and down in Thanksgiving with joy, and others are probably shaking their head, grieving, and wondering what the hell is going on in the United States of America. So I don't know, team. It is very interesting. I will say, when you look at pictures like this, it's hard to say if this promotes, anything that is consistent with any value of any branch of the United States military. And it's curious that when you have a branch who already struggles a little bit throughout the course of its history of the perceptions that are out there, and then you take stuff like this, and you push it out there, um, to the point where that stereotype becomes a reality for the American people. So, when it comes to recruiting efforts, you got to think and remember, how can I connect? And so that's why, recruiters, they go out to high schools, they go to college campuses, they go beat the streets, if it were. And, you got to think, what kind of folks you may recruit more from this particular demographic. But if this demographic is a sliver of a percentage of the American population that you're intentionally going after, which good on you, right? You got to go after everybody. But in the sake of doing that, if you are giving up the rest of the population, you got to be careful. What's interesting, I guess, is the young man was selected for 5 people in this partnership to kind of branch out and see what kind of different things that could be done. And I'm sure that, that there are, senior enlisted advisors, and that there are senior officers who are making the decision as far as what's going to happen. But you can't almost help but wonder what you're thinking. Like, I'm all for the military branches using social media to promote their values, to promote the profession, and as a recruitment means to say, hey, look at what it's like to be in service. But I think we've seen throughout the history of TikTok, as an example, that all it does is breed things that are not consistent. What is the story that you are trying to tell? And I think that's important. It's important to tell the story. That's why I jumped on TikTok for a while. And everything that I did was almost inclusively in uniform, was from a perspective of how do we lead those who are in our charge? How do we become better servant leaders? How do you become present in the lives of those who are in your charge? And I think that's a way. I think that's a great way. But yet, in my opinion, you have to be careful, because if you go out there and look at the Gram and at the TikTok and all these other sites, what you're seeing is not a warrior ethos. And so you are changing the story of who you are when you push away from that and you push towards something else. I've seen it the same way in recruiting videos from all of the branches in the military, except maybe the Marine Corps. You are pushing away and pushing down the story of what makes you great. What makes the Navy great to me is you're the school bus for the United States Marine Corps. You fly freaking planes. You blow stuff up. You have the Navy SEALs. That's what I believe you should be selling if you're, the Department of the Navy. But obviously, I am not. And I have been wrong before. Let me know what you think about all this stuff down in the comments below so we can continue to master our craft. Team, until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.